Hi everybody! So this week we're going to be doing a birthday cake. It's my friend's parents' birthday, so she wanted me to design a birthday cake for them. So we're going to do a really pretty elegant cake. Now the lilies that are on top, I actually didn't make them. I do know how to make the lilies, but they take a really long time to make. I'm not a big fan of wiring Gumpaste flowers actually. So I actually bought these ones, which they're actually really pretty. So I want to show you how to use them, how they come, and how to actually dust them and make them look really realistic and really pretty. So let me show you how to make it.
So this is what the flowers look like when they come out of the box. And then I've actually just used some pink dust and green dust to make it look like this. So you can see how you can go in any direction with the flower and make it any kind of color that you'd like. So for this cake, since I'm doing kind of Tiffany colors, I'm going to use blue and green. And I'm just going to combine the two colors. I've really brushed off a lot of the excess color off of my brush, and I'm just lightly blending it into my flower using just green dust into the center of it, and then really just pulling one line of green dust down the center of my petal. That's going to help them make them look really long and pretty. I'm just using a black edible marker and just drawing on some little dots going around my flower. And I'm going to use some vanilla cake, and like you can see, I'm just using really the top of my pan as a guide, and I'm just cutting off the top of my cake. I can just flip that right over onto my cake board. Now I've filled my cake just using some vanilla buttercream icing, and I'm ready to put my second layer on top. And I'm just going to crumb coat that, stick that in the freezer for 10 minutes, and put a final layer of icing on. Make sure that that is really nice and smooth, and then pop that back in the freezer just to harden up. And I'm just going to roll out my fondant. I'm just going to get ready and cover my cake. I'm just going to pull the mat off. And then that's going to leave the fondant kind of stuck onto the cake. Immediately, I'm going to trim off the excess of the fondant so that way I don't get any tears or rips on my cake. And then just really smooth out the fondant. If you'd like to take a look on my channel, there are other videos that go into more detail about how to cover a cake in fondant completely. I'm just going to smooth it out and then trim off all the excess fondant. Now I'm going to roll out some white fondant to do all the flowers. And I'm just using different flower cutters that I have because it doesn't really matter. You just want to have maybe 4 or 5 different flowers. And I'm also going to use just a little butterfly because I think that's going to look really pretty too. Now, unfortunately, all these flowers have to be done the same day. So you're going to be spending more time on the cake on the day of rather than a lot of prep. And I'm just sticking them on using a little bit of water. And I'm just kind of scattering the different flowers around the cake so I don't have the same flower next to each other. I'm just kind of doing different flowers in different sections. If there's any imperfections in your fondant, you can always use your flowers to help cover them up, which is kind of a nice little bonus to this design. I'm going to rest my lilies on top of the cake so I know where they are and where I want them. And then I'm just going to make a mark where their stems are going to go into the cake. And I'm just going to make 3 holes where they're going to need to be anchored. Because when you're wiring flowers, it's always good to use these anchors into the cake so you don't have actually wires sticking in your cake. And that's how they go on. They just kind of slide right into it. And you can push those right down into the cake. And once they're there, you can kind of fluff out the petals and fluff out the middle of the flower. That way everything looks really full and beautiful. And for the final touch, I'm just using some buttercream icing, or you can use some royal icing. I'm just using a Ziploc bag, and I'm just piping little dots going around the cake, some in the center of the flowers, and then other little dots just kind of scattered around the cake to fill up the space.
do it, guys. So the flowers, you can actually buy them for I think around $5 each, or maybe you can get a set of them. Like I got a set a while ago of 8 flowers, and they just come white like that. And you can dust them for any kind of cake, any kind of design that you'd like. You just dust them kind of accordingly to match the colors, which is really nice. And I hope that you guys really enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week.